It is officially June. Today is Sunday, June the 5th, and about a week ago I did a full backyard garden tour, so if you haven't seen that yet, then feel free to check it out. But I wanted to give you guys an update about what's going on right now in our front yard garden, or as I like to refer to it, our front yard farm. So if you follow me on any of my other social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, then you know part of what we're doing this year from fall into next spring is transforming our front yard from what is currently 3 large rock beds into a micro farm. So I'm also currently in the process of applying for a grant with the New Mexico Department of Agriculture to the grant is for about $22,000 to be able to help me transform my front yard and also continue to work on infrastructure in my backyard so that our full property around our house can be our micro farm. And so we actually started working on this front yard area at the end of last year, but it's been kind of like slow and steady. We started with the upper garden beds that are closer to our house, and then this year we'll be working into next year working on the front yard. So I kind of wanted to show you a little bit of update as to where we are and then give you kind of a little synopsis of what our plans are for the coming fall into next year. So I'm going to give you some close-ups to some of the stuff that we have growing currently in our front yard farm. Stay tuned. Okay, so currently we have 2 beds here in our front yard farm, and our goal is to completely fill this area up with growing space. So in this first bed, I have a few zinnia plants and some snapdragons. Along the back area here, I have some pro-cut sunflowers. And then in this corner, I have some hollyhocks, which are perennial, so our hope is that they'll come back year after year. I have some gladiolas planted throughout, and then towards this back edge I have some Genovese basil. Okay, so this is our tomato bed, and on this side I have a few berries crazy cherries. Literally just like 3. I have 3 berries crazy cherry tomato plants, and then the rest are sun gold. This is my first year ever growing cherry tomatoes, and so far they're doing really well. I'm learning about the pruning process and trying to keep up with that. And then our biggest challenge in this area is just the amount of sun that it gets, as well as the fact that we're using rock for our pathways. So as the sun is beating down on the rocks and then the rocks are reflecting the heat up to the tomatoes, that's a challenge that we're having to try to figure out how to overcome. And I think what we're gonna end up doing is just kind of like mulching our pathways with straw and hay to kind of help reduce some of that residual heat coming up from the rocks. Interplanted in between the tomato plants, I have some purple opal basil. And then here in the middle at the cattle panel, I have some Kentucky Wonder pole beans. And I have tried my hand at starting Jack P. Little pumpkins. Only one has survived, so I do plan on starting another succession of those. So all of the sunflowers that you see right here, this is the area that we started last year. These are all volunteers because I put 2 or 3 sunflower plants here last year, and then I let them go to seed, and so this is what we have, just a forest full of volunteer sunflowers. We also have some Shasta daisy plants here that are still trying to get used to this heat, having the heat from this rock wall here kind of reflected back at them. So we're trying to still figure out our watering system, our watering plan, but so far things are faring pretty well. My husband recently mulched up here, and so that has helped maintain some of the water. And then I also have a couple of volunteer gladiolas that I didn't get all the way dug up from last year. I have a few poppies, and then towards the back I have some dill, which I definitely want to have as a staple in my garden for years to come. Okay, so that's what we have growing in our 2 full-size beds. I believe they're about 3 feet wide and maybe like 10 feet long, and then our bed closest to our house. And then behind me is the remainder of the rock beds that by this time next year should be full. So with the grant money, we're hoping to continue to build out more garden beds all the way to the end of our property, and then just get them full and then be able to have tons of food to be able to offer at the farmers market, as well as flowers, because what our goal for this area is for it to be a pollinator habitat. So we definitely plan on filling it with flowers, and we want to have lots of food in here as well. So yeah, that was just a little update for you guys on what our plans are for this upcoming season, and I hope that you guys stick around and see the transformation of our front yard farm. And until next time, keep learning and keep growing.